What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to you with a quick video. I wanted to let you guys know I got some new merchandise available, not just t-shirt anymore. I got different type of t-shirt, different type of shirts and logos that you can purchase on my spread shirt, and also hoodies now. We have expanded and added more to the channel and more merchandise for the brand. Thanks for supporting. It will be in the description and the links will be in the comment section below. Thanks for helping me and supporting the movement. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. I'm going to check out the video. What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade coming to y'all with another season preview, aka NBA What to Expect. We're going to talk about the Toronto Raptors, the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference, with Dwayne Casey getting Coach of the Year. This was a team that revolutionized and changed the way they played more like a team, trusted each other, and it was mainly built around the two All-Stars, Kawhi Leonard and obviously DeMar DeRozan, who is no longer there. Going into this year, a lot of people are more optimistic and realistic. They think that they're better than last year. They're more athletic. They have a better player to go alongside of Kyle Lowry while he's still in a Raptors uniform. Not only that, they have solid rotation players and good role players that can be two-way players like Serge Ibaka, like OG, while also adding Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green, guys that can shoot the three at a good rate, while also guarding well on the perimeter. Then you add another good defender in Kyle Lowry, who can stretch the floor with a three-point shot and also defend his position. Right now, even though he is getting older, his contract is almost up, so they're not locked into Kyle Lowry. So this is one of those teams where they have a lot of intricate pieces, a lot of components that can build a perfectly good circuit board. But can it get done? Can they get out of the East? Can they go to the Eastern Conference Finals? Even if they can do that, can they win a championship with this roster? When you're making a trade for Kawhi Leonard, you want him to be your best player. You want him to be your franchise guy. He's a guy that has delivered a championship already and also was a Finals MVP on the Spurs team that a lot of people counted out the 2 years that they went to the NBA Finals, and he was basically 1 minute away from being a two-time champion and possibly a two-time Finals MVP going against the Miami Heat. Now, this team does have a lot of similarities. They have, like I said, the main players that they have, and they are athletic and lanky, and they also have a center that has been trying to stretch out to the three-point line, took more than he usually do, while also taking more mid-range jumpers, and he's one of those offensive rebounders that's going to gobble it up and finish around the paint. And as Jonas Valanciunas, another thing is they don't really have as many bigs since they got rid of Jakob. Obviously, they got Greg Monroe and Lucas, but they're not better than Jonas Valanciunas, and I think this should be one of the years that he should want to prove his worth, because he is getting paid $16 million, but his contract is getting closer to being up. And if he wants to be a mainstay starter in this league, he's going to have to up his play. Not only that, Serge Ibaka is one of those guys that can play the 4 or the 5 depending on the lineup. He is more athletic, he is more mobile, he is more versatile, and we've seen him play a lot of center the last couple of years that he's been in Toronto, but his offense fell off a lot last year in the playoffs. I think that he will definitely have a rebound season, because, this is just more acclimation, more chemistry, knowing where you're supposed to be, and it's just all about getting healthy and getting your mind right. And Serge Ibaka had a long offseason to figure out what he wanted to do, how he's going to play, and put in a lot of work. And it should only enhance getting closer to training camp and preseason before the season actually start. And they traded and extended Serge Ibaka for a reason, because they believed in his abilities and they believed that he can help change this team. And him going along with Danny Green, OG, DeMar DeRozan, and Kyle Lowry, and obviously Serge Ibaka, that's very good, especially when you throw out those type of lineups with OG, Kyle Lowry, and Kawhi Leonard. Then you have Serge Ibaka, and possibly you can even go small ball with certain players too, to have even more perimeter or defenders and length and size. And you'll still have an athletic center in Serge Ibaka. So they do have a lot of versatility. They do have a lot of lineups they can throw out there. Nick Nurse is a he was under Dwayne Casey for a lot, so they already know the system. They already know what he's trying to do. So it ain't like they're getting a whole new coach that they got to figure out and stuff. They've been around Nick Nurse. They know what he's trying to do. They know they can trust him. They know what he can bring to the table because he was already in this organization. So it ain't like they're starting off fresh with a random coach. So I don't think they're going to miss a step there. And the East being so weak at the bottom, I think that this team will definitely be one of the better teams in the entire NBA. They won 59 games last year, with changing how they play and having a coach that wanted to prove himself, and he was able to get Coach of the Year. And the thing that's crazy to me about that is they was able to win the number one seed in the East. Now, Kawhi Leonard, the player that everybody likes, everybody's still talking about. I have a question for the Raptors fans, and I want you guys to answer this in the comment section below. Do you guys believe in Kawhi? Kawhi was one of those guys that people felt, even Kevin Durant a couple years ago, he was like, Kawhi Leonard, he's great because he's a system guy. And Greg Popovich is one of the greatest coaches of all time. Him and his coaching staff and development staff has been able to develop a lot of products. And the question is, can Kawhi Leonard have that dominant season like he has been able to do in San Antonio and lead his team to victory as the best player? You have guys that's been mocking and talking trash about Kawhi Leonard since he had the season that he had last year. A lot of guys lost respect for him. A lot of guys turned on him, and that should add fuel to the fire. And considering that Kawhi Leonard is under contract and it will be ending this year, this is one of those seasons where you don't want to fuck up. You don't want to make a mistake because your money will be affected. If he has a severe injury, he's not going to get paid the same. Yes, he still might get a huge contract, but they're going to be cautious. They might give him less years and all that. So this is one of them years where Kawhi Leonard really has to redeem himself if he really wants to cash in. Not only that, he does have a reputation for being one of, Greg Popovich's creations because he wasn't the player that he was coming into draft out of college. And he was able to shoot. He was able to handle the ball. He was able to post up. He was able to shoot threes at a hugely efficient clip. And all of this was because of the work that he put in. But one thing I would tell all the people that's doubting Kawhi Leonard or don't believe that he can come out here and to be the best player and dominant player on this team, you look at a lot of players that came up under Greg Popovich or got traded to Greg Popovich and they became something different. All those players usually succeeded or stayed about where they was after they got to Greg Popovich. Most of those guys was able to succeed unless they was older. Other than that, the guys that like the Corey Josephs and stuff like that, they was able to still be quality players. They was able to still get meaningful minutes, and they didn't fall off after leaving San Antonio. So I feel like Kawhi Leonard literally had to want to be great. Kawhi Leonard literally had to want to put in the work, but he was doing that outside of San Antonio. So him practicing and him playing, he's going to always have those abilities because he worked on it as a part of who he is. It's not like he goes to San Antonio to learn all these moves and he go to Toronto, he's going to lose all of them. I believe that he will be the same player because that's who he is now. That's what he works on. That's what he tries. That's what he continues to perfect is his defense, is his three-point shooting, is his multiple ways to score and versatility. That's something that he has been able to do for years. And I feel like this year you will see that Kawhi Leonard isn't just a creation of Greg Popovich, isn't just a guy that grew up under Greg Popovich and he succeeded because of him. I think that he will be one of the great players, one of the best top 5 players in the league without Greg Popovich this year. And when you look at the offense and how they're running it, it is a lot similar to that ball movement. Make the extra pass, kick out to the shooters, play on and off the ball, run the offense through Kawhi every once in a while. And if you look at what DeMar DeRozan did and what Kyle Lowry did, it's damn near going to be similar to what the Spurs did. Kawhi Leonard going to get the ball in pick and rolls. Kawhi Leonard going to get the ball in post-ups. He's going to get a lot of passes where he can shoot the spot up three like San Antonio. He's going to get opportunities to get out in transition and get easy baskets. So I don't think we're going to see a fake Kawhi Leonard or a Kawhi Leonard that's struggling or a Kawhi Leonard that ain't the same player unless he has that injury again, which sidelines him a lot. But not only that, if it really changes how he plays, I can only see those being the two reasons why we don't see the same Kawhi in Toronto like we see in San Antonio. Obviously, looking at this roster, they have decent depth, with Fran VanVleet becoming a big part of their team last year and a huge part of their identity, especially in the regular season. He had injuries in the postseason. He didn't play as well as we all thought he would. But having people like Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, obviously, Danny Green, we don't know if he's going to start or come off the bench. You still do have C.J. Miles. You have a solid player in Grant Monroe. You obviously have Norman Powell and DeLon Wright. So this is a team that can go 8-9 deep, which is good because if somebody get a severe injury, obviously they have other players that can plug in the system and not miss that much of a beat. Yes, they're going to have a drop-off in talent and playing, but at the same time, they're not throwing in a G League player that they got to pick up because they don't have the talent, or ain't like they're making a trade or picking up somebody at the buyout just to plug them in right away to fix that hole and tape it up so they can keep playing and succeeding. They have good depth at each position. They have length at each position. They have a lot of versatility. Some guys can shoot the three. Some guys are good cutters. Some guys bring different elements to the game that this Toronto team needs when they're going against certain teams, and it makes them more harder to guard when you have multiple people that can do multiple things while also, handling the ball or even creating offense outside of Kawhi Leonard, and that helps him not have to worry about doing too much and carrying the load so much with this Toronto team because he really is the only superstar. I don't qualify Kyle Lowry as a superstar, even though he was an all-star last year. He is a year older. And on top of that, he didn't get as many minutes last year, which means he was less of a factor. Yes, he was still one of the better players. Yes, he did have a great season, but it wasn't an elite-level dominant season that we have seen from Kawhi. I don't feel like Kyle Lowry has been able to do that even when he was in Toronto. Yes, he is a two-way player, and he has been a guy that's been dominant on this Toronto team for years and years and years, but he also has been a guy that has disappointed a lot in the playoffs, including this year personally to me. But also, Kawhi Leonard is a guy that has been able to play decently. Can he raise his level up in the playoffs to get this team out of the first, the second, and third round as that main guy? Because remember, when they beat Houston, Kawhi Leonard missed the majority of those games. He did help them get out of the first round against Memphis, but that was only one round. When the second round came, they was able to really defeat the Rockets without Kawhi Leonard playing them a bunch of time. And then on top of that, they ended up losing to Golden State with Kawhi Leonard, but he was gone for the rest of the series. And then last year, he didn't really play anything but 8 games. And on top of that, the year before that, they didn't even get to the Western Conference Finals. So it is tougher in the West. It is harder in the West. But just think about it. One of these teams going to have to play you, which is you're going to either have to play Philly in the second round or you're going to have to play Boston in the second round because one of them going to be a high seed and one of them going to be around where you're at. So if people feel like they're going to be an NBA champion, if people feel like this is one of the best teams, they're going to have to defeat one of those two teams in the Eastern Conference. And they might have to defeat a team like Washington, who's a solid team and has talent and has just as much star power as this Toronto Raptors team, even though they beat the Wizards last year with DeMar DeRozan. This is a different and a completely more talented team with the Wizards. So they're going to have some tough battles in the East. It may not be as bad as what he did against the Rockets or the Golden State Warriors. It might not be as tough as those teams, but this team is more or less talented, personally to me, than that San Antonio team last year, having an all-star in LaMarcus and other good intricate parts around it. So I feel like this team is one of the best teams. I do think they win a 50-win season. I do not think they're going to be the number one team in the East. I think it will be the Celtics. I do think this team can get to the Eastern Conference Finals, but like I said, with my big point, they're going to either have to beat Boston or Philly or a team like Washington, a decent team, just to get a chance to even play in the Eastern Conference Finals. So if they really are elite and they are the team that a lot of people have been saying they are, they're going to have to knock off either Philly or Boston to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and then they're going to have to knock off the other one just to get to the NBA Finals. And I don't know if they have enough right now to do it. I'm not going to question Kawhi Leonard. I'm not going to question Nick Nurse. I'm just letting you know that those teams you have to beat just to get to where you want to go. And I feel like those teams are just a little bit better. especially the Celtics being better, more deeper, and having more 3 All-Stars basically on their roster. Plus, they have great role players that we don't really know what to expect because we don't know how they play because Kyrie went down and obviously Gordon Hayward went down. We don't know what to expect from him. But not only that, we don't know how well Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum will be coming into the season because they haven't really played yet. And with the season getting ready to start, that's going to be even another uphill battle. Yes, the Celtics got off to a great start last year, and Toronto was able to pass them up and hold on to the #1 spot, but they didn't have Gordon Hayward, and they kept getting minor injuries to Kyrie and other role players that really hurted them. And I'm not making an excuse, but I'm just putting that out there so people can put that in context. So I do think the Celtics will get off to a good start, and I think they will be able to hold that lead, but I don't think Toronto will be that far behind them. I do think Toronto can be that second or third seed in the East, and I do think they could be first. I just personally don't think they will be, but I wouldn't be surprised if we go to the season next year and Toronto is the #1 team in the East again. I wouldn't be surprised, but I just prefer that Boston or Philly might have a better chance, especially with their youth and their athleticism and, their multiple all-star caliber players on their roster. Kyle Lowry is getting older while Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, Kyrie, and Gordon Hayward and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are getting better. Then you also got to add in Dario Saric and people like Markelle Fultz and the solid role players that they can plug in too. They can compete with anybody, and that's why it's going to be, that top 3, Philly, Boston, and Toronto, and teams like Washington and stuff going to take shots at trying to dethrone them or even, and I would also like to throw in Indiana in that mix. We don't really know what to expect from them. And if I had to throw another team that can potentially be a threat, it's the Milwaukee Bucks that can really hurt Toronto. Even though they did beat the Bucks before, this is a different coach Bucks team. They have different type of players now, and they could be lanky, long, athletic, and have Giannis, who's dominant. Chris Middleton played at an all-star level last year, and they could be tough to put out. So I don't know if Toronto going to flop, but if I had to pick, I see they win 55 to 57 games, and I feel like they do get to the second round. But from there, it depends on who they play. If they play Boston, I think they get put out in the second round. If they play Philly, I can see them getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. Or even if they play Washington or another team that knock them out if injuries or something happen, I do possibly see the Toronto Raptors getting to the Eastern Conference Finals and winning 50 games again this year. And Kawhi Leonard will be in the MVP discussion if his team succeeds and he puts up the numbers he put up in San Antonio and they can actually finish #1 in the East. I definitely can see Kawhi Leonard becoming all defensive first team and an MVP candidate for this Toronto Raptors team. Let me know what you guys think about the Raptors. Do you think they overrated, underrated? Do you think they get to the Eastern Conference Finals? Do you think they will get to the NBA Finals? Do you think that they can win a championship and beat the Golden State, beat the Houston, beat the OKC Thunder, beat the San Antonio Spurs? Or do you think, hey, they're a solid team, they don't have enough talent to beat the Philly, to beat the Celtics? Or do you think that, hey, I don't really know? Check out my website at analysisplayground.com. Link in the description, comment section below. Check out my Facebook page at analysisplayground.com. Link in the description, comment section below. Like on Facebook to show support. Also, check out my merchandise on Spreadshirt. The link in the description, comment section below. If you want to buy a t-shirt, a sweater, a long t-shirt, a long sleeve t-shirt, or even a hoodie, you can buy all those merchandise items now in my Spreadshirt shop. You don't have to buy it through my Facebook no more. You can just go to Spreadshirt. They can get it made for you. Pick the image, pick the shirt, pick the product that you want, and they can get it shipped out to you. Just click the link, pick what you want, and we can get that done. Very nice. Thanks for the support for the channel, watching the video, subscribing, and helping me to get where I'm at right now. I'm happy where I'm at right now. And thanks for checking out the website and the Facebook page and liking to show support. But now, I'm gone, and I want to know what you guys think about this Toronto Raptors team. Will they be the champions? Will they be in the Eastern Conference Finals, something they never did in franchise history? Or will they just be another team that gets beat in the second or the Eastern Conference Finals, just like they had with DeMar DeRozan?